I think there's been more ads for Scream 7 than there has been Puppet Master movies, and that's saying something. Let's talk a little bit about it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I want to be a fighter, like you.
Oh, let it burn! Let it burn!
Did you miss me?
You have to shoot them in the head. They always come back.
The boat can leave now. Tell the crew.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Good luck.
Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. If you like horror flicks just like me, then make sure to like this video and subscribe for more updates just like this one. Also, the best way to support the channel is by becoming a Patreon supporter, where you'll get exclusive perks like trailer reactions and bonus review videos. Become a Patreon supporter today by clicking on the link in the description below. Thank you to everyone who keeps me in business. Now let's get into the updates. If you were disappointed in some of the horror video game movie adaptations that released last month, like Return to Silent Hill and Iron Lung, you might want to perk your ears up because there's a really exciting video game adaptation dropping later on this year. Some reviewers, specifically Josh Korngut from Dread Central, is calling this flick the best video game adaptation ever made. The flick is called Exit 8, a film about a guy stuck on an endless subway passageway filled with anomalies. The rules of his quest are simple: do not overlook anything out of the ordinary. If you discover an anomaly, turn back immediately. If you don't, carry on. Then leave from Exit 8. But even a single oversight will send him back to the beginning. Will he ever reach his goal and escape this infinite corridor? The flick premiered last year at Cannes and received an 8-minute standing ovation. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't write that shit. That is way too perfect and maybe even a little weird. The big news this week regarding the flick is that Neon has not only acquired it, but is setting a release date for the movie on April 10th of this year. I think it's interesting to note that A24 also plans on releasing a liminal space horror flick this year as well. Kane Parsons highly anticipated the Backrooms feature. With Neon essentially being that rival art house company, they're trying to give A24 some competition here. So which liminal space horror flick will dominate here in 2026? The OG, The Backrooms, or the newcomer here, Exit 8? Neon versus A24. We'll find out soon. A few folks have been asking me over on stream if Scream 2, the sequel to the 2024 slasher flick that came from Fuzz on the Lens, one of the production companies of the Terrifier films, is this thing happening? What's going on with this? Well, to give you guys a little bit of an update, Scream 2 was announced last summer, officially happening with director Michael Levy, and also seeing the return of David Howard Thornton as Player 2, who we thought died in the original film. This past January, though, we just received a pretty big update on the flick. A surprising one at that, too, that a new set of writers will be attached to the project. Over on the Talk is Jericho podcast, where we seem to be getting a lot of exciting updates from the Terrifier folks, Brian Quinn, or Q from Impractical Jokers, stated that he and Joe Imburgio have already penned the sequel script. Director Michael Levy praises the duo, saying Q and Joe joining the Scream team is a perfect match for where we want to take this franchise. They get it. From day one, they completely understood the tone. They're massive horror fans and cut from the same cloth as us. Their success in comedy translates perfectly to horror. It's truly a secret weapon. Scares, like jokes, are all about beats. They live and die by timing, and they know how to land both. They know what works. We truly feel this film will thrill our fans, both old and new, so buckle up, this is going to be a fun ride. I totally agree with Michael Levy here regarding comedians transitioning to horror. This is something that has worked way too many times than anyone would have ever thought. Just look at Jordan Peele and Zach Cregger, for instance, two goofballs who made horror flicks that are both now nominated for Academy Awards. Jordan Peele even won the Oscar back in 2018 for Best Screenplay. Get Out fucking rules, and so does Weapons. With Scream 2 following a similar path, I imagine it will reap some similar rewards. Maybe not an Oscar nomination, but I think it will be fucking awesome. Could you imagine if Scream 2 or Terrifier 4 gets nominated for an Oscar? I would lose my fucking mind. I have to say that I absolutely love the original Scream film, and I'm so glad that I supported it on Indiegogo. It was described as the Expendables of horror that features many familiar cast members from your favorite slasher flicks. I think that the brutal kills and campy tone make for a super fun watch and give all sorts of actors the opportunity to play villains here in the future. I can't wait to see who gets cast as some of the new players this time around, and I also love that David Howard Thornton is coming back as Player 2. Considering that we thought he burned alive at the end of the original Scream, I imagine he's gonna come back a little crispier and maybe even a little more pissed off this time around, very similar to Michael Myers in Halloween Kills. I am hyped to be covering this one one that maybe is going into production soon. Michael Levy, let me know. We'll find out soon with some more crazy updates here in the future. Let the games begin again. Ladies and gentlemen, you have officially made it to the Micah Monroe section of this video, maybe my favorite section of everything we're talking about today. You know her as Jay Height from It Follows and Detective Lee Harker from Longlegs, but now she slipped into the Resident Evil universe to tease the upcoming 9th video game installment that releases later on this month. Resident Evil Requiem drops the same day as Scream 7 on February 27th. In this short featurette called Evil Has Always Had a Name, we see Micah and her kid fighting for survival during the initial outbreak in Raccoon City during the late 90s. It cuts to after the bombs dropped on the city and she walks up to her kid's grave as a zombie. She is then shot in the head for what has to be the most tragic cinematic in Biohazard history. I didn't expect this little 3-minute clip to get my eyes watering, but here we are. That's what happens when you get Micah Monroe in front of a camera. I know we're getting a new Resident Evil flick from Zach Krager later on this year. Super excited for that, but I kind of want a feature film of this starring Micah Monroe. Micah also gave us a They Follow update, specifically talking with EW. She said that she's heard rumors that they're going to be starting on that one soon. She hopes that fans stay positive as it is still definitely in the works, despite still no movement on the sequel since it was announced back a few years ago. Regarding the script, Monroe says it's not at all what I expected, where you would find Jay, which I thought was really interesting. I was like, whoa, cool, which I think the audience will probably have a similar reaction. I know this might sound cliche, but it's staying true to the original where we're bringing back all the same team. The story is very much still in that space, but it's just grander, and yeah, I'm really excited for it. The It Follows sequel once again comes from filmmaker David Robert Mitchell and features the tagline, "It's everywhere." I'm thinking there's more than one it this time around. My theory is I think Jay did in fact kill her it that was following her. But what she finds out years later is that there are more people affected by it's following them. I'm cool with that, even though I do love the ambiguous ending of the original that this sequel will have to kind of tarnish a little bit in order to continue the story onward. How I see it, any sort of sequel to It Follows is a gift and a curse. That 2014 film is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. I love it so damn much, and I've seen it way too many times. But the biggest update I'm still waiting for is if Disaster Piece is going to be doing the music again. If he's not, I'm actually not gonna see it. I hope you're hearing me right now, David Robert Mitchell. I'm dead serious. It would be a crime against humanity to not have him do the score for this one again. That It Follows score is one of my all-time favorite horror movie film scores. You know what? Fuck it. Not even just horror movie films. Film in general. It's so good. Stay tuned for more updates on They Follow. The first 5 minutes of The Strangers Chapter 3 has released, and it has already given me so many reasons not to have faith in this sequel, outside of the fact that the previous 2 films are dog water. The clip follows a new character getting checked into a motel by someone who I thought died in the previous entry. That's besides the fact, however, because the last 2 minutes speed run the Strangers formula. Someone knocks on the door asking for Tamara, girl opens the door, no one's there, and then suddenly pinup girl appears in the motel just standing there menacingly. Immediately, the exact same problems are rearing their ugly heads. We are going way too damn fast through a scene that should slow down and take its time to build some tension. Also, who is this character? Why do I care that they're being stalked by the Strangers? Remember how both the original film and Pray at Night spent a lot of time building up their characters before we even got into the action? Kristen and James were having a rough night because Jimmy asked her to marry him and she got freaked out. That's an interesting situation, and I am now invested in these characters and care about them. Speaking of which, check out my rewatch of the original Strangers, a video I just posted yesterday. I'm gonna be watching Pray at Night tomorrow, which also has the same thing. Here's a struggling family where the parents deal with their kids having behavioral issues, and no one seems to like each other anymore. Through the torment of the Strangers, however, they have to unify in order to survive the night. What has chapters 1, 2, or 3 done story-wise to make me even care? So far, they've repeated the same storyline from the original Strangers film and did it significantly worse, made a 90-minute chase scene where inconsequential flashbacks break up the tension for no specific reason that really matters to the ongoing story, and now here in part 3, we're following a very bland character getting attacked by the Strangers almost immediately at a motel setting. Listen, I could forgive these films if some sort of attempt was made to tell a cool new story. But that's not even happening here. I truly believe that the studio got the opportunity to make a trilogy in a popular IP, and without any thought whatsoever just decided to jump. It's a shame because I think it's tarnished this franchise beyond repair, and I don't know if we're ever going to get actual Stranger sequels that are worth a damn anymore. It's also super telling that the embargo doesn't lift for this one until Thursday at 6 p.m. You know, when the first showings of the flick actually happen, so no one's gonna hear a review about it until then. I'm sorry, man, but these flicks have been nothing but cash grabs, and I'm not expecting anything different for part 3. I just don't think there's any hope in salvaging this story, not even with a 4.5-hour long supercut. Once upon a time, us Scream fans were wondering, where the hell is the marketing for our upcoming flick? Now we're learning the hard way that we should have been more careful for what we wished for, because there are more teasers, TV spots, and trailers for this flick than maybe any film ever in existence. Let's break down the copious amounts of new footage while we ask ourselves, is there anything we haven't seen from this film yet? A new TV spot from Argentina gives us a better look at the chase scene with Tatum on the late night streets of Pine Grove, Indiana, as well as Chloe crawling away from Mr. Ghostface. I'm pretty sure she's dead meat. If James, Chelsea, or Zoran is watching right now, I'm just saying, if you ever need another co-host for the kill count, I'll cover Scream 7, baby. I'm pretty good at yapping. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, kiddos. Another new TV spot shows the character of Ben for the first time, played by Sam Reckner, coming through Tatum's window like a certain greasy-haired Loomis boy back in 1996. You know, it was pretty refreshing back in Scream 5 to have characters introduced in a different way than boyfriend crawling through their window late at night. And I have to give some credit where credit is due when Jill has the same thing happen to her essentially with Trevor, and it's the same scene from 1996. This is all played for misdirection. It's trying to make you think that this Jill character is just the new Sidney Prescott, when in reality she was the Ghostface killer the whole damn time. Now we are once again doing this exact same scene, and I'm just questioning what is going to be Tatum's unique angle. How is Tatum gonna stand out and be this new character, hopefully a new face of the franchise? This also makes me a little suspicious of Ben here slipping into the Billy Loomis role of the film. We even hear Tatum say, "You know if my mom catches you," followed up immediately by a shot of Ghostface dropping down from the attic. Ben knows how to sneak into this house, as well as whoever's underneath this Ghostface mask here. What's up with that? There's also a shot of the fountain scene from the original Scream sitting on a desk at the Fallbrook Psychiatric Hospital, likely in this suite with all of those crazy drawings in the background. So, who took that photo? That's a little silly in my opinion, but I think it does give us a clue as to who Sydney and Gail are visiting in this scene. Somebody from Woodsboro during that time, or someone who miraculously got this photo. Everyone in that photograph is dead besides Sydney. Or are they? We also get a shot of Hannah, McKenna Grace's character, yelling "what the" before she's cut off in what is likely that school play setting. Remember, she's probably that same short blonde girl getting hung up on some ropes and then getting stabbed by Ghosty as blood and entrails rain down from the ceiling. It looks dope. I think it's gonna be one of the most iconic moments in the entire franchise. I wish I hadn't seen it before I got to see the whole film though. Finally, there's a really sweet shot of Sydney embracing her daughter, likely after nearly dying from her first big Ghostface chase. Oh, you thought we were done talking about new TV spots? Oh no, buckle up, because there's way fucking more. Yet another fucking TV spot starts off with Gale Weathers interviewing Sydney, repeating a line we've heard Ghostface say a few times across the marketing.
Your daughter is the same age that you were when this whole thing
Like I said, I
started.
don't want to talk about my kids.
It sort of makes you a little suspicious of Miss Gale Weathers here, until you see, of course, the next shot in this TV spot. Gale Weathers can be seen giving a testimony to a cop over this wide sweeping pan that is likely the final shot of the film. This is exactly the same kind of final shot we have gotten for many of the Scream movies, so I imagine this is where we're going to be closing things out. While I'm pretty sure the marketing has spoiled something else for us that Gale Weathers survives the film, I'm wondering who that body is underneath that sheet that's getting photographed. At least there's still some mystery left, right? I also wanted to mention a new shot of Mindy and Chad. This shot came from a featurette where the cast and crew is talking a little bit about how Kevin Williamson, the writer of the original flick, as well as some of the sequels, is now directing. I bring all of this up because during a Q&A over on Threads yesterday, Mr. Kevin Williamson, writer and director of this film, specifically stated that there is a character connected to Mindy Meeks Martin that he wishes was still alive. A fan asked him which character he would resurrect if that was possible from the franchise, and he responded, "Had I known a Scream franchise was gonna happen, I would have kept Randy alive a little longer." He doubled down on this on another post where someone basically asked him the same question, and he said, "I miss Randy." Huh. And that photo from earlier from the fountain couldn't have been taken by just anybody. Is Randy alive? Holy shit! Now, while I could totally buy that Randy survived a few stabs to the chest and maybe some cherry sauce to his face, much more than I believe that Stu Macher survived a massive CRT television crushing his skull open, I do have the question of did no one know he was alive up until this point? Didn't Mindy just say in Scream 5 that he was dead too? Either way, I do have to agree with Mr. Kevin Williamson. I miss Randy. I don't think I would mind too much seeing him again here in Scream 7. That might be cool. Wow, lots of updates today, guys. Which one has you the most excited? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.